Welcome back everyone to the Hello World guys. This is episode number 7 if I'm not wrong of the the Unreal Engine series, and in today's video we are going to get a bit more advanced with our enemies. So currently, if you remember, our enemy when it sees that, it starts chasing us around, and it basically keeps chasing us like for the rest of the game, but if it reaches us, then it doesn't actually do anything. And what we want to do is we want to make it do some damage to us, and then we want to actually represent that damage. So the way we are going to do that is let us consider this thing. So the way you actually handle damage in Unreal Engine is that Unreal Engine actually comes built in with a damage functionality like automatically. So in order to understand this better, what we will do is we will go under the enemy class. So in here you can see we have got this enemy tick, and if I like go on, you can see we have got this, and if I go under on success and I go ahead and say here, let's say just print so basically in this AI move to function we have got an on success output, and if you try to print string on that, then you can see it basically does not print string until it actually reaches us, and once it reaches us it starts to print the string. So this means that when it reaches us, then it says on success, so we can basically do something in here. So once the enemy reaches us, what do we want to do? Well, if we try to damage the player, so we have got the player pawn here. So in order to damage the player, if you just basically let's say we have got this player pawn, and we can just use this to actually add it here. So if you like take it out from this node and you type here damage, then you should see a function here called apply damage, and you can see that this basically is a built-in functionality of Unreal Engine to handle damage, which is like pretty awesome. By the way, if it's like this, that it's not like straight in front of this node, then what you can do is you can right click and hit straighten connection, straighten all pin connections, and it should do it. Like if you like right click here and you go straighten all pin connections, then it should straighten the connections. Kind of looks nice. And by the way, if you're not liking like this going through, then you can click here, double click, and it should create like this, which you can use like as handle. So you can basically move this here, and that looks a lot better. So this is the apply damage event. It will apply a specific amount of damage to something, and let us put the amount of damage here as 10. Now you can see there are a bunch of different other parameters here as the causer and a bunch of other stuff, but we don't need to worry about that. So if we go back under player, and now it should actually do damage to the player. So in here, how do we detect the actual damage? Well, we right click and we go ahead and say so if you just go damage, you can see we have got up here got an event called any damage. So if you can just type event any damage, and if you click that, then you can see we get this event. Now it basically occurs whenever we get any kind of damage, and if I go ahead and say print string hello here, you can see that our damage system should be working. If I like go near the enemy, if he starts to chase me, once he reaches me, you can see it says hello because it is doing damage to us. So that's pretty awesome. And if I take this damage output that we have got and I plug it here, it will automatically add a conversion node, because this green thing means that this damage output is a number, a float, a decimal number, while this needs to be a text, and that basically converts them. And you can see that it should basically say 10. So you can see it's saying 10 up here. Now that means that we are getting 10 damage, which means that our damage system is kind of working, and that was really simple to set up. So first of all, I'm going to open up my player blueprint, and in here what we want to do is we want to add so we want to basically have a kind of damage a health variable for the player. So how do we add a health variable for the player? Well, you remember variables, we talked about them in the last video. You only need to go under here and create a new variable and just call it health. And once you do that, you can change the variable type to a you can see we have got a bunch of types here. The one you want to choose is a float, which means a decimal integer, and we will get that value here. And what we can do is in the any damage function, we can basically say go ahead and we can basically like take this out, and we are going to go ahead and say set health. If you say set health, you should get it here, or you can just like drag it on this node, and that should automatically work. And in order to set health, what you need to do is we are going to actually get the health variable. We are going to add a minus node. We are going to subtract the damage from the health, and we are going to set the health to that. and if I do that, you can see currently we won't be able to see anything. But if I go ahead and also like print string, and in the string we are actually going to print our current health instead of printing the damage, and if I do that, come on, and if I do that, you can see that what should happen is that my health is by default it's 0. I'm going to take we are going to select the health and make the default value 100. So by default our health is 100, and if I go in here and it starts attacking me, it decreases to 90, 80, 70, 60, 40, 30, 10, and then it starts going in negative. Now in order to stop it from going in negative, you can use something called a clamp float here. So if you go clamp float, then so what you basically need to do is you need to move this forward, and you need to go through a clamp float node here, clamp float. Now what this basically does is that it makes it so that you know, the actual value is kind of reduced within this point. So we are going to set the minimum to 0 and the maximum to 100, so it won't go below 0 basically. And if I go in here, you can see I get 90, 80, 70, and then I get 0, and I don't go below 0, and it keeps at itself at 0. So that was basically, we have got a nice damage system setup. Now in the next video we are going to actually add a health bar to our game and some UI elements, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with other people who want to learn Unreal Engine, and bye.